Hello, bonjour, and welcome to your new Alti Wine Exchange video. Welcome to this channel where we explore together, we learn about, and we taste the wonderful world of wine. If you're not familiar with the Alti Wine Exchange, it is a wine investment and trading platform as well as a wine club. Make sure to check out the link in the video description below. Today is possibly my favorite type of videos to make on this channel when I taste and review for you a wine that we are offering. We're offering, in fact, two wines today from Portugal. We're offering them in our wine club, two exceptional wines that you can buy now with, again, more info through the link in the description. Let's talk about then this Sinless 2017 from Alentejo in Portugal. I'll tell you more about it in a second. And its big brother called Sinner, vintage 2016. Let's go. WineLife is a small project coming out of the south of Portugal from an area called Alentejo, a wine region just inland of the capital city Lisboa. It's an old and traditional wine region in Portugal that has over the past couple of decades given birth to exceptional wines with an ever-growing reputation. So those two wines are the only two cuvées WineLife makes, as they put all of their energy and know-how into making those two. We are on a rolled-pebbles terroir, somewhat like what you would find in Chateauneuf-su-Pape in the Rhone in France, in a rather warm and of course generous climate. We are in the south of Portugal. We'll call this climate Mediterranean, although there are some influences from the Atlantic Ocean that is not too far away. It's warm in summer, which is the most important thing for ripening and concentrating those grapes. Sinless is the little brother here, made from a blend of local Portuguese grapes, including Aragonés, which is in fact Spanish Tempranillo, indeed. There's some Trincadeira, Alicante-Bouschet and Alfrocheiro, if I'm pronouncing this more or less right. Only 5,000 bottles of this wine have been made, so that's a really boutique project and an exclusive offering. Only 1,000 bottles of the Sinner have been made, which is the flagship cuvee made from the best vineyards on the property, from two grapes called Alicante-Bouschet, which is a grape renowned for its concentration and its opulence, and the other part of the wine is Cabernet Sauvignon, arguably the best grape variety in the world. How a program is that? Both wines have been fermented in stainless steel tanks and aged in stainless steel tanks to somewhat counterbalance the natural power coming out of the grapes that come from this Alentejo region. But enough said. Let's leave the wines speak for themselves and let's get tasting. So we're tasting the little brother wine here, 2017 Sinless here. So this wine comes with, wow, a rather purple color. It is remarkably dark in color indeed, very deep, very profound, and it's got a lot of purple hues to it, which is surprising for a 4-year-old wine. It looks very youthful. It looks like it hasn't really moved in those 4 years in the bottle. It still looks very useful, and it looks like it hasn't evolved much as well. So no orange hues, still looking very young and purple here. Let's taste and sniff first. Wow, okay. Wow, and yes indeed, the wine still smells impeccably fruity. There's a huge burst of blackcurrant, maybe the Cabernet Sauvignon, but a lot of blackberry as well. It's really generous but very fresh smelling, like really a bush of gorgeous blackberries in the sun. If you've got this image, you come close to a bush of blackberries, it just bursts with those very fruity aromas. There's delicate touch of earthiness as well to the background, like forest floor, which adds some depth to it and presence, some character, delicate oaky spices as well, the cinnamon, the clove, the nutmeg, a little bit of peppery, spicy pepperiness as well. It's very complex, it's profound, very fruity, yet there's this elegance coming through. It's layered, very promising nose indeed. I'm loving it, but let's taste. Wow, wow, okay, so this is a succulent wine, one word, succulent. Okay, two things really surprise positively straight away. One, probably the most striking, is the smoothness of the wine. It is so silky and really soft to the palate, with these tannins that feel like whipped cream almost. It's really mellow, it's smooth, with delicate silky tannins, in a few words. What also surprises, and perhaps as a contrast, is how intense and powerful the wine really is. The explosion of rich red berry aromas we had on the nose is there on the palate as well. Definitely bursts in your mouth with all these mixed berry jam flavors, and then it develops towards huge mixed spices to the finish. I can still taste them. It starts surprisingly soft, and then the flavors get bigger and bigger and bigger until your taste buds are totally submerged with those fruit, dark chocolate, the coffee, the sweet spices, the chili-like pepperiness, some mintiness as well, elements, complex, very, very powerful, and extremely satisfying. This is a balanced wine overall, with solid body, good dense tannins, all harmonized, and it focuses on delivering this burst of fruit and a huge powerful complexity. Extremely enjoyable it is if you like the fruity wines, the powerful wines, yet with the balance, the elegance. It's excellent. But let's move on to the bigger brother. I can't wait to try this one. Let's see if the Sinless, well, I can see why they named it Sinless. It's sinless, it's elegant, perhaps it's not as explosive as this one. We'll find out. And this is the previous vintage 2016, so 1 year older than Sinless. So let's see what it tells us. To start with, you can see that it has a little more orange hues to it, but not a whole lot. It still looks really dark, really powerful, really dense. Yes, some orange hues to it, but still a lot of purple hues as well. So it looks, you know, a little bit evolved, matured, I would say, but still looking useful enough. Let's smell. Well, the nose is equally as powerful, really bursting again with huge fruity aromas. Yeah, it's got this blackberry and strawberry jam, but there's an additional level of depth in there, especially through those notes of citrus peel, the orange peel, if you wish, a bit of orange liqueur. It's more caramelly as well. There's more dark chocolate in there, more coffee liquor types of scents, still loads of spices, but very much of the sweet kind here. There's a sense of lightness as well, and minerality also in here that really cuts through this fruity and spicy generosity of the aromatic profile. So Sinner both smells deeper and more composed overall, but also somewhat surprisingly lighter and more precise thanks to this minerality. All signs here of a perhaps more sophisticated wine, but let's taste. Wow. Sinless was rather opulent and generous for sure, but this is just a whole other kind of sensory explosion. It also feels very smooth and silky at first. The tannins are remarkably soft and dense, but then Sinner really turns from the mid-palate on into a huge beast of a wine. Yes, we had an explosion of flavors with Sinless, but the level of intensity by contrast now seems pale in comparison. You have a lot of very ripe grapey characters here, almost like raisin. The wine feels insanely concentrated. It's very caramelly, a lot of orange liquor-like type of characters, a bit like Cointreau, a citrus liqueur, but a citrus liqueur that would also be packed full of mixed spices, the nutmeg, the cardamom, the anise, the coffee, all of those. It somewhat reminds of a great vintage port, I would almost say, in a way, except that it's dry, but it feels so generous and so opulent on the palate, so ripe and so explosive. It's certainly the level of concentration that you would find in a great vintage port, but in a dry version here. The finish is incredibly long and intense, layered. I could describe it for minutes and minutes and minutes, describing it with all the vocabulary I normally use to describe a wine. It's all in there, packed in this wine. The fruit, the spices, the dark chocolate, the coffee, the vanilla. It almost feels oaky a little bit, but not too much, elegantly so. In a few words, it's an extreme wine, really gorgeous, and indeed it has all the scents a powerful and dense wine can deliver. I won't argue with that, yet with the overall controlled harmony, I would say it's not only about scents in here. I can see how tasting the two side by side, Sinless is perhaps, yes, the quiet one, by contrast, even though it's already rather powerful, but Sinner is just boom. As for aging potential, they both seems to me like wines that are built to age for a long time, although they're delicious to have now already. They're already 4 or 5 years old, so they've been smoothened for you already, but they still feel very youthful, both of them, with just, they haven't moved for those few years, so they'll move very slowly from there on. They all have a long way to go. I'd say Sinless can be drunk now in 2021 for sure for the next 10 years to keep its delightful fruity freshness, and Sinner can be cellared and you can forget about it for as long as you want, 10 years easily, and you can drink up to 2030. And I'd say stock up on Sinless, as it's really great value, elegance and big concentration for the money. A fantastic wine to have on hand for any occasions, the simple occasions when you still want to have a serious wine and a wine to impress, but you want a wine that you don't need to worry too much about. It's still going to impress a lot for the kind of money. It tastes way more expensive than it is. And I'd say Sinner is a collector wine, a connoisseur's wine, wine for cellaring, wine to genuinely impress even the people who really know about wine, the connoisseur's wine. It's concentrated yet elegant, a fantastic expression of what I call the Portuguese style. I'd often say for me, Portugal combines the power of Spanish wines, the wines from the sun, with the elegance of French wine, yet with their own signature Portuguese local grapes. So there is a signature from Portugal. It has all of this in here. On this final note, this was it for me today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you soon in the wonderful world of fine and rare wine with the Alti Wine Exchange.